Is Evan Abrams, and today I'm going to be showing you how I made a little bit of an old school intro for a buddy of mine and his new vlog. So if you've ever seen the movie Happy Gilmore and thought to yourself, man, I would love to make that old school sort of film look intro, like old home movies that are shot by someone who doesn't know what they're doing and then processed by someone at 1970s Walmart, this tutorial is for you. Take a look.
Oh mon Dieu, un autre vlog de famille. Yo, seulement deux enfants, puis yo, même pas de chien. Mais les enfants sont pas mal nous, puis la famille pas mal belle. Mais beau, c'est pas un mot pour le fun que j'utiliserais. Mais il est pas mal drôle. Mais faut dire qu'il est un petit peu gros.
So the first thing to do is actually not to use After Effects, but we're actually going to be starting in Premiere with these children who are in jail. And you may not know this, but if you don't file your taxes after selling lemonade on the street, you get put in kid jail. So for this, what you want to do is start by getting a bunch of old family-type videos. There's babies swinging and making snow angels. Stick those together into some semblance of an order. If you have a wicked cool producer buddy, have him make a great track that sounds nostalgic or like a 1990s punk band, which is what we did here. And then sync up the clips to kind of have something to do with the song. And here's a good part that's important. Have a white space at the top and bottom, because that's where you're going to put in some titles later in After Effects. But for now, lay it out. Another thing I did that's pretty cool is to speed up the clips. So each one of these is actually between 150 and 250% speed, because a lot of people don't know this, but back in the day, the motor speed on cameras was a little bit screwed up for playback, so people often played them back faster than they recorded them, or if it was still one of those hand crank things, someone wasn't cranking it fast enough, and that causes the fast motion. So that makes things look old and kitschy, kind of nostalgic. Also, it's helpful to time it up with the music in Premiere, because its playback for music is way better, or all audio for that matter. So what you're going to do is select everything that you want to bring in, Control C to copy, go into After Effects, open up a new composition first. I went with 25 frames per second. Go OK, Control V. Here comes the magic. Now let's make sure, yep. And it'll automatically resize your comp to be able to accept all of your footage. And that's good. So there we go, just gone from Premiere into After Effects. Look at all your clips are there, everything's trimmed, looking good. And we have this comp that we're gonna call footage. If you don't have Premiere, you can just render out in Final Cut or whatever you're using, and then import that file. I prefer to do it this way in case there are some tweaks I want to make to these individual layers that I can only make in After Effects. In this case, probably not. So, copy and pasting is done. The next thing to do is to take this and put a frame around it. Layer, new, let's go new solid, make it the comp size, okay. For whatever reason, when projecting things, there was a weird black border that always showed up around the frames of things. And also, for some reason, they didn't have square frames, they had slightly rounded frames. So let's click here, turn on your title and action safe. We're going to drag this and hold down, I guess it's Command for me, Command and Shift, and bring this in a little bit, like so. That's good. Change the mask to subtract to punch that hole, and there you go. Boom! Get yourself a nice little frame around the action there. Some things to do to make the frame look a little bit better is to fast blur it by like either 1 or 2 pixels, and also to roughen its edges a little bit. Actually, roughen edges, then fast blur. So your border, you want to bring that down, bring the sharpness down, fractal influence down, everything down. So that's kind of what you end up with. You see you get a little bit of this jaggedness around the outside. You want to just scale up a little bit to make that go away. And that should do it. Maybe bring your mask in a little bit if you're starting to feel that that is not quite right. But overall, that's quite good enough. The other thing you want to do is you're going to want to make some kind of a cool, like a pre-roll before things start. So what you can do is you can go to this, you can go layer, pre-compose that. Alright, crack that bad boy open. I went ahead and I created what I called a crumple. What this actually is me and my lady friend doodling on a large piece of paper. I crumpled it up, then put it into the scanner, and that's what you get. You get all these little bumps and jags and stuff. And so then you bring that down, down here. You're going to want to scale it up so that it fills the whole frame. It doesn't have to be exact. And then you want to change its position so that you're at one end of it at the beginning. Set a keyframe, go to the end, and move it all the way back down to the other end. It just happens to end on my initials. Don't think anything of that. Just my subtle way of signing my work, and then you get this kind of craziness going through. There's a cat face in there if you look closely. There it is. Meow. And then maybe you can punch this up by, like, screwing with the levels a little bit. Kind of like so. But anyway, it doesn't have to be perfect for this first bit, because really it's just a little pre-roll. And it's going to get covered up by stuff anyway. Whatever the title of your program is, put that at the end on some kind of a plate. So, next thing to do is we have our basically our footage in our reel kind of composited together. So, we called that our footage. Drag that into a new comp. Hooray. This is where you can bring in the music, your musical selection. Put that below. LL will bring up its waveform. Selecting the layer and hitting L twice. So LL, LL. And you can see we've got a nice waveform going on. And so the next thing we want to do is I used the audio to drive the amount of shake in the lens, or the reel. So the amount of shake is controlled by how loud the music is, which adds a bit of a connection between the audio and the visual and makes things a little bit impactful. It's kind of subtle, not a lot of people might notice it, but you will notice that as the cadence of the music starts going, the cadence of the jumpiness goes as well. And like the intensity matches the intensity, so some people don't notice it, but the difference is between this and a random motion is that this is deliberately putting emphasis on the hits and that kind of thing, whereas randomly it might happen, it might not. So you might want to just think about that and control it. So in order to do that, we need to go Animation, Keyframe Assistant, Convert Audio to Keyframes. So you have to wait a while too. Don't just automatically go ahead. What it'll do is it'll put your playhead back at the beginning when it's done to show you it's finished. And that has given us the left channel, right channel, and then both channels. And the one we are interested in is the both channels. So actually you could delete these two because we don't care about them. Not that they're not interesting channels, but quite frankly we don't need them. Now we'll select this and we'll hit this graph editor here, which lets us look at overall where all of the points will fall. And we can see that they're mostly clustered between 40 and, I suppose, 20. Between 40 and 20. And what we want to do is basically extract and alter the data in here using an expression. So things are going to get a little weird. hold down Alt and click on this stopwatch. And what we're going to do is we're going to go here and we're going to go to Interpolation, meaning how you interpolate numbers. And you're going to go to linear, T, T-min, T-max, value 1, value 2. Select that. And for basically we're going to change the variables it's given us. So you want to select T and then pick whip to the slider. This sounds a little bit stupid, but basically you're saying linear expression acting on this here, and we want to basically remap minimum and maximum values. So we're going to say from the values 20 to 40, change them to become 0 to 100. So basically all of the values that were between 20 and 40 will become 0 to 100, and anything below 20 will become 0, and anything 40 and above will become 100. So the result of that is that here at the maximum, all the points that were above 40 are coming up to 100, as you can see. So we scrub through what that seems to mean. And what that's going to do is it's going to change the way the data points look, and it's going to give us a bit more of a uniform shakiness throughout while still tying us to these data points. So next thing to do, now that we've got this data sourced out, we would like to create that rolling film look in the footage. And we're going to use the offset. So select the footage, type in offset, bring that out. What offset does is it allows you to change where the center of the image is, and then it repeats it on the other side. You can see how this naturally can be used to create that look. So what you will be doing is you will be hitting Alt, clicking on this stopwatch, because we're going to enter another expression. And this one's a doozy, so bear with me. I'm going to type it out. I'm going to put it in the description. It will be open square bracket 640, because we want the one value to stay at 640, comma, open bracket, wiggle, open bracket again, 8, comma, now we have to go in here, yes, quiet, use the pick whip to grab this slider, okay, 8 comma that, close bracket, so we've closed the wiggle operator, and then square bracket 1, close square bracket, close bracket, close square bracket. And that should do it. So now we're saying that hold one value at 640, and for the up and down vertical, wiggle 8 times a second the value here. It gets complicated because wiggle produces an array, and we use this square bracketed 1 here to say use only one piece of that array, and that's really important to prevent errors. But this will be in the description. Copy and paste it. It'll work. So we've got it moving like a reel. Basically what we're going to want to do is introduce, we can put in a few things like we can still play with this as a keyframed value, meaning that we can change it, willy-nilly. So that means that you can, let's say you wanted for one specific part for it to jostle a little bit. Like maybe staring at Tim with his shirt off gets a little bit cumbersome. So what we'll do is we will have it do a little roll around so that we don't have to bore the audience too much. So basically when that happens, but I mean you can really crank this, like give it a bunch. like there's something really terribly wrong with the speed of the machine at that point. Just a fun way of mixing it up. You can interject those things wheresoever you like. I prefer to put them at the start, at the end, and one place for emphasis. So that's what to do with those. The next things you want to do are basically define the look of the film. And we will be doing that by first tinting it. Tint is important because old cameras did not capture the same vibrance of colors. The film just didn't have the range. The next one you're going to want to use is curves, and because everything was put on film back in the day, someone actually had to process the film using chemicals. And usually if you took this to a Walmart or a Kmart, they would process it incorrectly, meaning they would use, if you used Kodak film, you should probably be using Kodak like treatment stuff, but they probably cheaped out and really ruined a lot of people's precious memories. So what you want to do is really fuck with the curve here, mess with the curve here, so that it would appear as if someone has made a grievous error and the colors get crappy. So, just as an idea, before, after. You can play around and find the look that works best for you, but for me, I tend to, like those green ones, yeah. I tend to mix it up where I push up, push down, just create like an S curve. You can create all kinds of looks by altering the curves around, just by harming the natural colors. And this isn't really looking for realism. It's kind of a trick. If I wanted to do this really, I would have actually researched the color range of Super 8 film and wasted a lot of your day. The other thing you want to do is change the exposure. Because this is going to be run through a projector, we would want to expose it differently. So punch this up to 1, bam! Punch this up to 2, boom! Maybe not that much. Anyway, so you can see the difference that exposure makes. It's like we're blasting this through like a projector, or someone is really screwed up filming it, and that is really what defines that home movie look, is that it's washed out, it's incorrect, it's got that nostalgic homey quality to it, and you get some more shake in there, and really you just want to sell that this is terrible footage. So the last thing to do is to put in a vignette. So we go new, solid, make the comp size okay. Usually I use a mask for this, but I'm actually going to use something called the circle generator, which generates a circle of whatever color you should choose. You should choose black. Okay. The next thing you want to do is invert that circle. So you got this going on. And I used the circle plugin because I read this in someone's blog post before and thought that is pretty cool. So let's set that to 600. Let's set the feather to like 300. That ought to do it. And we'll consider this to be like a baseline for stuff. Let's go to the radius here and put in a wiggle 25 times, so basically once per frame, and wiggle 10. That should be enough. And really the idea there is just to cause some subtle like it is being projected through a lamp of some form. So this is basically like using the Hipstermatic, but on video. I'm sure someone will develop an app that does this. I wish I were developing an app that does this right now. Patent pending on that app. That's about it for this tutorial. If you have any questions or comments or have a piece of your own that you've done, please share it with me. Ask your questions. I'm here to answer them and all that good stuff. And yeah, hopefully you had fun. My name's Evan Abrams, and stay tuned. I'll be doing some more of these, and hopefully you have fun.
Oh mon Dieu, pardon, vlog de famille. Yo, seulement 2 enfants, puis yo, même pas de chien. Les enfants sont pas mal youpi, la famille pas mal belle, mais pour ces bars mots, pour le pot que j'utiliserais, payez pas ma dire qu'il est un petit peu gros. Plus sont tous canadiens, entièrement bilingues et canadiens. C'est la famille. C'est la famille.